Thanks again for staying with us on the program this morning on ITV. Lovely Monday morning. We'll go straight to a major talking point across the country. On Saturday, the ruling All Progressives Congress held its state congresses. Well, the outcome is that in many of the states, or some of the states, parallel congresses held. In some states, two chairmen, state chairmen, or two parallel executives emerge, and a whole lot has gone under in the last 24 hours as it relates to the congresses. We'll just go ahead and look at it in detail and help you make sense of what is happening. For some, it shows that the clamor or the hustling for 2023 is really beginning to take shape, particularly with the ruling party. But let me welcome our panelist here. Dr. Lugat Sado is a sociologist from the University of Benin. Thank you, Doc, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Edo people, and God bless you.
We also have the Programs Officer, Foundation for Good Governance and Social Change, Comrade Christo Ojekere. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Sonny.
Okay.
Good morning, viewers.
And just now, Idris Zakari will be joining us via Zoom. He's trying to establish contact with the conversation, and as soon as it does, we'll put him on the show. Okay, let's get started. The congresses took place yesterday. A huge expectation, but what is coming out now, it's an interesting one. Maybe in the course of the program, we'll look at the states where you have multiple state executive or parallel executives, multiple chairmen, as the case may be. But let's look at it. What is the import of a Congress of this nature as it relates to deepening democracy, as it were? Dr. Dr. Lugat Sado, let me start with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, good morning, my most esteemed Edo people. What's transpired in the APC yesterday across the country, or in most parts of the country, is not new. Especially like we know that 2023 is around the corner. The only problem here is that it shows that our internal democracy is not yet strengthened, and that we need to learn on the ropes. We need to learn more on what democracy is all about. The clamor for power, the desperation is what has played out in most of the states, where we now have parallel executives across the APC states in Nigeria. Now, what transpired yesterday again is a pointer to the fact that some persons want to have political power by all means. By all means. Needless to say that it is not so much as to what the people want, but it's about what these political actors want. And if you notice, it is either a contention between a serving senator and a governor, or a contention between a former governor and the current governor. And what lies ahead of us when this person should be governing? I'm talking to the incumbents now, who should actually bring democracy to the doorsteps of their people. What we find is that they are playing politics with their citizens. They are playing politics with their state resources. They are playing politics with the media that they have under their control. These are the problems that we have seen, that we saw on Saturday. Needless to say that Nigerians expect more. However, whatever is playing out in the APC is not also peculiar to the APC.
Interesting.
We have seen it happen in other parties. But since our focus is on the APC, let's stay with them. I think that Nigeria deserves better than what they are currently offering us.
Okay, let's get you started, Christopher. Yeah, what do you make of the outcome so far?
When people expect differently, I'm surprised. Yes, to be honest with you, because who is to make this difference? The party we are speaking about, or we are talking about here, has been in power for the past 6 years. And it's these actors, these political actors and the politicians that have the structure of that government. They're the one that produce the government that we have in place. We have not changed them. What we have just had is that likes from other parties have moved from other parties to join them. some of the tension he spoke about, if you go into details, it is how to accommodate these powers that be that came from other parties. Governors joining in, he has a structure. How do you accommodate them? Senators joining in, he has a structure. How do you accommodate them? So what we are seeing is power play, inordinate power play. There is no attempt, there has never been any attempt to put in place structures, procedures, and processes that would deepen democratic tenets and produce a democratic party or a democratic society. So I am not surprised at what I am saying. What is only hurting is that we will think that by the state of our country as it is today, that we will not need to import, angels from heaven to let us know that enough is enough of the debacle and fiasco that we have called political processes and governance processes in this country. You will think that political parties across divides would have advised themselves enough. But it's so unfortunate that we are still seeing this and we are heading towards this is a structure and a political placement that wants to be in place to conduct the 2023 election and produce 2023 leadership in this country. Now, this is what we have ab initio from the outset. So if we continue like this, if there's no radical change, what it simply means is that we're already heading for a failed government if this party, if in the unlikely event they produce the next president.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the point.
All right, I'll come back to you, Christopher Jekere. But let's just look at what some of the stories that are trending. Idris is already smiling, apparently in agreement with some of the things that are coming forward from the studio. In Akwa Ibom, 3 APC chairmen. In Kano, 2 APC chairmen emerged. Bauchi, 2 APC chairmen. Ogun, 2 APC chairmen. In Kwara, 2 APC chairmen. Lagos, 3 APC chairmen. Interesting. That's really interesting because that's supposed to be the stronghold of the Asiwaju himself. And then in Oyo, no APC chairman. In fact, we heard that the Congress in that state has been suspended. In Cross Rivers, 2 APC chairmen. In Niger, 2 APC chairmen. In Taraba, no APC chairman. So the list goes on. Let's get you on Idris Zekeri. I'm sure you followed the congresses all through yesterday as they were unfolding. What do you make of the outcomes so far? Yes, Idris. We find it difficult to also comfortable to think that we can hear you. Can you hear us, Idris? Okay, maybe we'll reconnect with Idris in a moment. We'll reconnect with Idris. But let me come back to Dr. Sado. This is the reality on the ground. And someone said, well, this is probably happening because there are clandestine moves to upstage the Asiwaju himself in the build up to the 2023 election. How true is that?
Anything is possible as far as politics is concerned. Having 3 chairmen in Lagos is not unexpected. That's because we know that there are interests. Don't forget that some few years ago, a sitting governor was booted out. That governor is still in the party. He may have interests and he may have a hand in what is currently playing out. Of course, we have the Tinubu faction, and of course, we have those who feel that, look, let's take power from these people and let's create a new political Lagos. The point here is that whatever has happened, whatever took place on Saturday, is a pointer to how selfish Nigerians are. In this case, APC members, especially the leadership of the APC. Needless to say that, why are people agitating? It is to control the political arm and, of course, seize power in 2023. They are not putting into consideration the voices of Nigerians. At a time like this where insecurity has taken over this country, at a time like this where our economy has nosedived, at a time as this in this nation where Nigerians can no longer sleep with even one eye closed, these political warlords, like I like to call them, decided to throw caution to the wind, and they did whatever they liked because they felt it was their party. I know very soon that the judiciary will be agog with cases upon cases that will eventually dovetail into something else. It is not unexpected. Now, the truth here be told, I think that we must look again into our political structure.
Okay.
He made mention of the fact that the structure, the processes, and all the others are quite fundamental in determining how we can provide a workable structure. As it stands, our constitution is the major issue, which I have always advocated that the people need to rework the constitution. And of course, the constitution will now define how political parties are operated. As it stands now in the immediate, our political parties are more like associations. Anybody can do whatever they like with that, as long as they hold, if you like, the finances of that party and they control certain things in Aso Rock. People can do whatever they like. That is what has played out in the APC congresses that we find all over the country.
All right.
Now, just to say that, you will notice that the party appears not to have the ability to glue their members together. There is this division, there is this separation, there is this, and it is not unconnected to the fact that, yes, they keep receiving people from other parties. When you keep receiving people from other parties, chances are the persons you are receiving are not just pushovers. They are powerful structures. They are not going to come to your party and be bench warmers. They want to have a stake in what's happening in your party. So not to give them attention or to treat them with the way some of them are being treated, you are going to have what we have received on Saturday.
Okay.
You are going to have people who will put up resistance against the structure in order to create their own structure that they can control.
All right, Idris, I'm sure we've been able to establish a connection with you now. Yes, give us your perspectives on the outcomes so far.
Am I loud?
Yes, go ahead, we can hear you loud and clear, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Edo State. Thank you for the opportunity. First of all, let me quickly dive into the issues. There's a political situation in Lagos. Interestingly, I'm in Lagos. I'm not part of their political situation anyway. That we are.
No, you can report to us what the political situation in Lagos. Yeah, talk to us about it.
Well, it is a family affair. Everybody is going about their various businesses here in the city. So there is an APC family affair. But the situation in Lagos is one that is very worrisome because Lagos has been a politically homogeneous state over time, and having 3 APC state chairmen coming from Lagos is something that we should all be concerned about because it is dangerous for democracy. It's like having an election and having 3 presidents in Nigeria. How are we going to live in that kind of situation? Now, it speaks to the issue that I have always mentioned over time, that the continuous leadership of APC by Governor May Malabuni of the state, it's an anomaly that, if not corrected, will continue to eat that party like a cancer. You cannot have a sitting governor continue to lead a party, whether it is legal or illegal. It is not. We have what we call a conflict of interest. A governor, sitting governor, leading a party. Naturally, the tendency of that governor for him to tilt towards his governor colleagues is there, and the governors, although they are called ceremonial heads of their party, are not supposed to involved in the day-to-day run of their party. That's why you have a party executive. What we have is the governors wanting to run the party as one of the ministries in their cabinet. This is unacceptable in a democracy, especially in a multi-party democracy like Nigeria, and in a democracy like Nigeria where candidates come from the party. So it is the anomaly that we are continuing to have, having made Malabuni as the chairman of APC that we are seeing around. Very soon, you know, in a situation like this where we have 3 state chairmen in the state, 4 state chairmen in the state, 2 state chairmen in the state, and there are some states without state chairmen. Some states will begin to export state chairmen to other states to go and cover the vacancies in those states. That is where we are headed towards the APC. We must come back to the basics. The Malawi must leave that office. They must return the legally elected executive of the APC to conduct this Congress. Otherwise, they are going to run into a lot of legal problems, and it's already shown.
All right, I'll come back to you. We'll keep tabs with you in a moment. Dr. Stella Omonigo just sent us a message sent her contribution saying the multiple chairman is an indication of thirst for absolutism, for power and desperation at its highest peak. It's an indication of the individual interests and selfishness in the present political cloud. of Nigeria. Christopher, let's get a take. Some are saying that the governors in each of these states are most likely going to have their way as far as this battle of supremacy is concerned. What's your take?
The question of the governor having their way, the governors already have their way. The political parties in Nigeria are structured in such a way that at the top, you have the president having his way, whether he has to deal with the National Assembly or deal with the State Executive Council or deal with the governors of his party or even governors of other parties. Because we have so made our political structure so top-heavy that everything is there. Influence is there, power is there, and then the finances is there. And so when you now come to the sub-regional level, which is the state levels, this same thing that is concentrated in the president is concentrated in the governors. So the governors are the leaders of the parties within the state. Political parties in Nigeria is structured in such a way that after election, political parties subordinates its sovereignty, so to speak, its legitimacy, and everything that it has is power and influence to the governor. It wasn't so in the Third Republic, I mean the Shagari Republic. Adisa Akiloye in protocol, I've always said it, got mentioned before Shehu Shagari in any public function, because it is the party that produces the candidate. Here, we have reversed and inverted the logic. So that is why the governors will always have their way, because they have the money, they have the influence, and everybody wants to kowtow to that influence and money. The governor has the power to emasculate you. The governor can talk to the national, whatever they have at the national, whether national executive or national caretaker, as Idris inferred. Now, whether it's my Bala, that is their colleague, or anybody there, it is the money. Now, it is this powers, it's power play that we have, that we, come in the semblance of political party. It's just power play. So, what is going on now? That's why I say I'm surprised that anybody is surprised. But we have not retweaked the system. We have not reorganized the system until we reorganize the system in such a way that political parties will become, so to speak, independent of their elected officials. And what will create this independence? They'll be able to fund themselves. They will have so much influence because of the way they are organized, because of the kind of processes that will bring the ESCO and the executive. They will have so much influence that they will be able to, and they'll come up with programs. And during this kind of processes, those programs will be taught to the elected officials, and the elected officials are supposed to go there to execute these programs. They are supposed to be vehicles for the political party to execute party programs, not their own programs, until we reorganize this. And that's why he referred to the Constitution. Until we reorganize this, we're going to continue to have this kind of situation. It doesn't matter who is there. Yeah. We're just going to continue to have this kind of situation. So what we have now is power play. And then, unfortunately, at the very top, we have a very naive, for a more euphemistic word, we have a very naive president who completely recuses himself from political processes. He just sits there. When you have people like Obasanjo, who are more politically inclined, in the helm of affairs, even if it was PDP then, you had a more stable party. And that's what PDP is still boasting about when they tell you that we have a more stable party with no politics. They have a kind of system where you have internal mechanisms for taking care of their problems. Now, he has just reiterated what happened, that APC has no such system. You saw the problem when Oshomole was there. You don't know who is in charge. Everybody in APC does as he likes. They just have, what do you call them, fiefdoms of powers all interplaying against each other. So you have all this interplay within the APC because they don't have this central control from the party. So it's so easy for elected officials to just look at that, take over the party, and everybody is coming to sycophant before him, and then he's giving orders, and that's what you have. Okay. So that's why you have all this problem. You continue to have them.
All right, Idris, let's get you on that. I mean, you said you were quite surprised with what's playing out in Lagos, where 3 chairmen have emerged so far. Is this, in your opinion, in any way related to insinuations or quarters that this is being done to whittle down the powers and influence of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
It is obvious to the blind and not able to the deaf that there are powers in the other side of the country that are very determined to check Ahmed Tinubu. I am not a big fan of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but when you see people from outside fighting your own brother to try to bring him down so that he's not able to lead the kind of interest building, it calls for worry. Bola Tinubu has been in this game for a long time. When during the days of Obasanjo, where Obasanjo was this megalomania, Tinubu was able to stand and hold the Southwest together. He was able to make the Southwest development capital of Nigeria, so much so that people were coming to the Southwest to copy leadership. Lagos today is one of the biggest of national government in anywhere in the world, and he has built it up to that level. Now, he is now having his own party in power. Don't forget that in 2015, they needed his help. And when they came here to Lagos, he supported them. And he helped them, and we had the president. The APC had the president. Now they are trying to malign him even within his party. They started by laughing at him for being sick. Who is not sick? Has the president not been sick? Most leaders in this country, they fall sick now and then. They maligned him, and now he's back. And they are creating factions here and there for him. I think Tinubu will prevail because in the streets of Lagos, it is Tinubu or no one else. His posters are everywhere in the street of Lagos, already calling him to run for president. People are going to his house in Cotillion, calling him to run for president. I don't think he will make a fantastic president because of his age, but I'm left to be worried. Do they want to retain power in the north? Because I have said it before, even if they bring angels from the north, power must return to the south. There's no one part of this country that is subservient to the other. That's it.
All right, thank you, Idris. Thank you so much. We'll just keep tabs with you as usual. But let's take the conversation further. This crisis that has started now from these congresses, do you see any end in sight, Dr. Liga?
Yes, there will definitely be an end to all of these crises, but how long the crisis will take, that I don't know. What has played out actually is a pointer to 2023. So perhaps this crisis will end in 2023. As it stands now, people are going to continue to engage in contention, in battles, whether it's a legal battle, whether it's a media battle, they are going to continue. The whole essence is to get the support on their side. I just need to state this, that what has happened in the APC, what took place on Saturday, it's a pointer to the fact that the party has not been able to put their house together. And that's the reflection of what is happening in the Nigerian states. Failed security system, failed educational system, failing health system. Everything is failing under the control of the APC. And so, whether this problem will end now, I don't think so. It's not ending so soon. It's likely to continue till 2023. And the outcome of 2023 will determine if APC will still exist. Because I see a disintegrating party. I see a disintegrating party. Not necessarily. The point here is that the actors in this party are actually businessmen. They don't have, ask them what is the manifesto of the party that they stand for. Ask them what the philosophy of APC is. There is no manifesto, in my own opinion. There is no philosophy. There's nothing. And that is why the path they are taking this country is the path to destruction. The president, for instance, who came into this into the platform of being president, rode on the back of APC. See what Nigerians are getting in place of voting for him, so to say. Needless to say, we were in this state some years ago, or some few years ago, when the APC were also in charge in Edo State. See the rascality that eventually led to the governor switching party to the PDP. This kind of crisis and rascality will produce nothing but underdevelopment, will produce nothing but stagnancy. So whether it will continue, it is definitely going to continue. But whether it will end, it will end. How long? No idea. Because the APC, I know, will continue to fight themselves until they seize power. It's a party that is interested in power by all means. Imagine a party advocating that people from other divides should come into their party, and that even if they were guilty of corruption, if they were guilty of any charge, if they came into their party, their sins are forgiven. And this is in the public view. It is not just my saying. And nobody refuted it. Is that the kind of party that you want Nigerians to support? Is that the kind of party that should be even be? I like, when, you know, when Idris said something about the Lagos affair, that it's an affront against Tinubu who has done so much. I don't see it that way. Frankly speaking, I think that what is happening in Lagos is actually a reflection of the structure that man has created in Lagos. We are a system of divide and rule. I told you about Ambode. I posted something on Facebook some years ago when they were calling the head of Ambode, and I asked, between Ambode and President Buhari, who deserves a second term? And nobody could answer that question. Yet, some people who were against Ambode by every standard, using their own structure, were in support of a President Buhari, in my own opinion, who should not have returned to power. So, the ball is in the courts of Nigeria. Let APC do whatever they like. When the general election comes, I hope Nigerians will think well and go for the right candidate and go for parties who have good manifestos and programs that will help lift Nigeria from this dunghill that they have buried us in.
Christopher,
yes.
you want to add to that, particularly with the fact that there's this general, it's a common statement we make. I mean, this is just politicking, it's normal. I mean, this is part of the politics that we play.
Yes.
Is this normal?
In this particular case, that statement will be made by those who don't have deep insights and perception. The power play that you insinuated just now is very obvious to those who can see. And that power play is the reason why the crisis will not end. We are just in a prelude. APC is talking of 2023, but they should hope to get there first. Because if APC gets there, it's not going to get there in the shape in which it is now. And that is the point. When you have a force that is equal to the status quo, and that force has been busy operating subterraneanly, by the time it begins to simmer to the surface like this, and you are seeing the tip of the iceberg, there's a bigger portion underneath the sea. Now, if they think they are going to ease out Tinubu as easily as they think, then they could ease out Tinubu, but they'll be easing out 3/4 of the party. And that's what is going to happen. It's either they are going to allow for a level playing ground where whoever is more influential within the party will emerge as their candidate, or they are going to be easing out 3/4 of the party. Because beyond Tinubu as an individual, like Idris, I am not a fan of Tinubu in that sense. But as an individual, he's representative of an interest. He's representative of the interest that political field should be allowed to every player that is qualified to do so. He's also representative of the fact that he's a Southern force. And we're not going to shy away from any Southerner that has the courage to stand up now to the status quo. We don't want the status quo. In the South, we are not gaining anything from it. So any Southerner that has the courage to stand up to the status quo, we're going to get Southern support. It doesn't matter if we are replacing the devil with another one. And I don't think Tinubu is a devil. When it comes to cognitive abilities, none of them can stand him. So that's the point. So now those forces are going to come to play. That's why I say you are just in a prelude. Because it's going to come to that point where we are going to look at the issues and really know why we are having the interest. What interests are you pursuing? So if you think that it's just where you're going to have your personal interest and you think you're going to hoodwink all of us and you're going to tell us it's a party thing, it's beyond the party thing. We have external agenda, and there are people who are pushing those external agenda. We know who are representative of those external agenda. We won't allow that. We have our own agenda. That is the whole idea of the Asaba Declaration. There's an agenda. There's a certain agenda. The South must pursue that agenda to a logical conclusion. It is beyond party. It is existential. So those forces will continue to play within the party, and if you don't allow the party to produce who majority of Nigerians want as your candidate, majority of Nigerians within your party want as the candidate, then you are going to have to deal with the crisis that will follow. And then I should expect PDP to start to put his house in order now, because they stand a very good chance of reaping from this process. There's no reason why Tinubu cannot go to PDP. I mean, Godwin Obaseki at the twilight in Edo State went to PDP and is the president, as the governor of Edo State today. There's no reason why Tinubu cannot make such move. So nothing, as he said, nothing is certain, nothing is sacrosanct, nothing is cast on stone right now. His politics is dynamic and it's going to continue to roll. So we are going to continue to have this, and we are not going to forget to discuss it, that we have our interests and we must pursue that interest to a logical conclusion.
All right, interesting. Yeah. Let's get back to you quickly. What in your opinion is the fate of those who have joined the APC arising from this, with the outcome of this Congress? Do you think that some of them were told were nursing the ambition of becoming president come 2023? Let's get your take on this.
Like I said before, I have always been very scared of May Mala's Buni's leadership. He is almost ruining the party. He has thrown the doors open, bringing in governors upon governors and bringing in very funny characters. A certain Femi Fani-Kayode, who has been the biggest opposition voice to the APC, has been brought into the APC, destroying the integrity of the party. You need a certain level of opposition to stay in power. You need a certain level of opposition to maintain legitimacy in power. But when you want to bring in the opposition, like you are window shopping, like you are shopping in Dubai to buy jewelries, it is a worrisome situation. And that's what May Malabuni is doing. He is playing the politics of numbers. But sometimes politics of numbers does not always win the day. Maybe in an election, but not in the political process. So he has brought in a lot of person, a lot of divergent interest, a lot of governors. People come in, they want to take over the party. People come in, they want to destroy the party. They want to grab the party. Some even come in as moles. And he is not aware. He does not have the political time to look at it. He is busy with being governor of one of the most volatile states in Nigeria and trying to manage the party at the same time. Now, there's a part I want to quickly talk about. When Dr. Lugard was speaking, he mentioned a lot of very, worrisome things about the APC. It's not even different in the PDP. Look at the way they have been fighting themselves. The strong man in Port Harcourt and the other strong man who used to be in Dubai has now relocated back to Adamawa. They have been fighting. You see the way they have been dragging. See the way that the strong man in Port Harcourt kicked out his person that he installed as the National Party chairman of the PDP. If you locate it, if you domesticate it to Edo State, you see the way the governor, our governor, that came into the party in the middle of the night, in the twilight of his election. Look at the way he has formed the camp that is fighting the other part, and it's suspension upon suspension, on top of suspension and other suspensions. Politicians will not learn, politicians will not change. They are only there to protect their interests. And what we should do as citizens and as public commentators is to continue to set an agenda for these people and ensure that they do what the people need. They will not change. This is not the first time. This will not even be the last time. All right? So the only part that we are very worried about is the fact that they are trying to use the APC that has been very generous to the north. Don't forget, APC has its roots in the south, in the southwest particularly, under the ACN. The north, they had very little or no presence. Only the Buhari factor was the northern element that made the APC tick. But it was most of the planning that led to the 2015 victory was done here in Lagos. And now trying to turn that party against the south, make it look like a northern party, both in perception and sometimes in reality, is a situation we are very worried about. Everybody knows my political leaning is towards the APC. I think the PDP has been a disaster. It was a 16-year of disaster when they were in leadership. But there's no process that is perfect. And the APC must begin to quickly turn. They must come out and state it publicly that the presidency is going to the south. I must commend the PDP on that. They have zoned their national chairmanship to the north. That means the president must come from the south. APC must do the same. Presidency must return to the south. Full, final stop.
All right, thank you very much, Idris Zakari. I just think it was as easy as you're saying it, and then probably those in the south will be singing in Uhuru. But that's just on the side. We have seen the impact of governors in the political process. This slogan, or this saying that at the federal level, the president is the leader of the party, at the state level, it's the state governor. Is it doing the political parties any good from what is playing out? I mean, look at the crisis that the APC is into now by virtue of the outcomes of the Congress. And then the PDP is preparing for its convention. In some states, that's already generating a whole lot of heat as to who is supposed to be part of the delegates that will participate in those in that convention. Let's get your take, Dr. Sado. You took a deep breath.
Honestly, I did, and I should, for my own good. What is playing out currently in Nigeria is a disaster. In the political space, it is a huge disaster. In fact, it is worse than a tsunami. And it's gradually eroding everything that we've ever stood for. In Nigeria, nothing works. And somehow, there are, in the words of Barack Obama, in strong and effective democracies, you have strong institutions and weak persons. In Africa, for which Nigeria is notoriously the #1 in terms of abnormality in political issues, We have very strong individuals and we have very weak political parties, very weak institutions. And that is why once you assume the status of the chief executive of a state or you become the president of Nigeria, you become bigger than your party. In fact, the party revolves around you. This is not what the practice is in other parts of the world. And it is not even constitutional for the head of state or for the governor, as it were, to become the party leader as far as the constitution is concerned. It gives room for political parties. It gives room for parties that individuals can only run for elections on the platform of the parties. That means that the parties have their own structure. But what we find is abnormal. It's abnormal. Now, let's paint a scenario. In the APC, for instance, Tinubu is given the title national leader. And I scanned through their constitution. I tried going through the papers, and I can't find anything like that. But he is the national leader. And just like Idris said, he has been a very fundamental force behind the APC. And I respect him, and I respect his cloud, his political cloud. You can't take it away from him. The man has a strong political cloud. Now, let's bring it back home. Let's take Edo State, my state, as an example. Governor Obaseki was in the APC, and immediately he switched over to the PDP. He became the state leader. Someone, for instance, I mean, not in his person, I'm not speaking about his person, but the structure that took place. Someone who is not aware, someone who is new to a process. I wouldn't want to say naive to the PDP structure, suddenly comes into the party and becomes the leader and determines what happens and what happens. Such a party can't thrive. And it's not peculiar to Edo State, for which Governor Obaseki is governor. It runs through. Someone switches from APC to PDP, from PDP to APC, and becomes the leader of that state. For crying out loud, that is why I keep arguing that our political parties have no ideology. Once there is the ideological background on which a party stands, people no longer canvass themselves. Rather, they speak from the perspective of the of the party ideology. And then when people want to vote, they vote according to party ideology, not so much as to who is the strong man in Edo State or who is the strong man in Delta State. Until we correct that abnormally, we will continue to revolve around all of this. Understand that the challenge I have with all that is happening is that very soon they will tell us that the electorate will determine who their leaders will be. But that's a lie. The electorate don't decide. The parties decide. They bring the devil and a demon. They bring a witch and a wizard, and they ask us to choose. And who do we choose from? We just have to look for the lesser devil or the lesser witch and elect. Until this process is looked into, where Nigerians are allowed to play their roles in the party, then we can't make progress. Let me just point this. Look at in Nigeria, for example, our constitution makes it impossible for civil servants to be part of the political process, only to vote. That is abnormal. That is wrong. You should be able to have a stake to say, look, I believe in the ideology of APC, so I'm a member of the APC, and be able to contribute, because the civil servants, if you like, are the technocrats as far as party is concerned, as far as government policies are concerned. These persons are eased out of the process. And so what do? You bring people who have never worked anywhere. You bring people, once they have money or they have godfathers, you make them leaders. How do you explain in a country called Nigeria with over 1 million plus PhD holders, your president, our president, has issues with all-level certificates?
This constitution provides
all-level certificate. Yes, it is what I'm talking about, that our structure is faulty.
So the constitution
our constitution is faulty. I argue, and I have said it in different fora, that we don't have a constitution. What we have is a document put together by the military force and the political elites and imposed on us. And we don't have a choice. We are told that this is how it must operate, and anything that goes out of it is unconstitutional. How do you say, for instance, on the issues governing Nigeria, that certain matters are not negotiable? Are we in a court?
No, but we have some saying now it's negotiable.
Exactly, and I like those voices.
Exactly.
Kijibe, yes, I read Kijibe's comment when he said it's negotiable. But Kijibe is just like me. He's an outside player. He's not in the political structure. He's not holding any political office. So he has a right to his opinion. Those who are currently piloting the affairs of this country, like Mr. President, I feel that the buck ends on Buhari's table. And that's why I'm not concerned about Tinubu now or Obaseki. I'm talking to President Muhammadu Buhari. He should do the needful and remedy the abnormalities that we have in Nigeria. Just
before we call it a wrap, let's get to final thoughts on our conversation so far. Chris, the governors and the executive that's where the leadership comes from now.
Yes.
And that seems to be a major talking point because we're seeing it manifesting in different political parties.
Yes.
Where the PDP and the APC.
Yes, you see, we can't do anything within the context. That's the truth. We can't do anything within the context.
It's a helpless situation, like you said.
It is helpless, but for every helpless situation, there are innovative interventions. One of the innovative interventions in this case is that we should no longer leave these things to these players. Now, participation is very important. We cannot any longer leave our destinies in the hand of those who have serially, repeatedly failed and have shown that they cannot pilot the affairs of even their own political party, not talk of the affairs of the country. So this should be an opportunity for Nigerians to think of the intervention. There was a third force, and I mentioned it in this studio before, and that's why I became so disappointed. Because the names that third force threw up were names of people who should understand these issues and should have made sure that it didn't fail. But it was to be a bubble burst. Now, we are looking for either people, he just mentioned about PhDs, and then we have somebody who showed a NEPA certificate and then is the president. But where were the PhDs? They were in the classrooms. You know, the PhDs were churning out theories and thesis and antithesis and synthesis, and politics was going on, and politics is still going on now. And PhDs are still doing analysis. So the point is, until there is participation, people get involved. Let the PhDs get involved at their ward levels and take over. I mean, think of 2 or 3 PhDs in a particular ward. They're going to determine the direction of that ward. Because they're going to be the enlightened society of that world. So participation and involvement is very important.
All right, Idris, let's get a final word from you on our conversation so far. Idris.
It is said that evil tries when good men do nothing. And let me quickly point out something I noticed. As I was entering the city, I saw a bus, and the secretary of the NURT in Ali Mosho is a professor. I told my
secretary of the NURT in Ali Mosho is a professor.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yes, I said, you mean professors are now joining Agbero business? And my friend was laughing. I said, well, that is the way to go. That is the way to go. You leave the most important affairs of state in the hands of criminals, touts, drug addicts, drug barons, and you expect a change. You are wasting your time. And when some of us are talking politics, they will think we are unemployed or we are not busy with our lives. Continue to leave it in their hands. Let pastors not contest the election. Let reverend fathers not join politics. Let bishops not speak on public issues. We will remain where we are. Sheikh Madam, you see the Northerners are very wise. Most of their imams are political imams. They speak, when they preach in the mosque on Friday, they talk about the politics of the day. They talk about leadership. They talk about what should happen, what should not happen. They talk about what should go and what should not go. But here in the South, we pretend our pastors say they are not interested in politics. Same with our imams here. Same with our bishops, our reverend fathers. Same with our professors. Continue to teach in the classroom. And the Agberos and the South will continue to lead you in your political life. Don't forget, after God is government. After God is government.
All right, Idris, thank you very much. That's the much time will permit us on this segment of the show. Christopher Jekiri, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Dr. Luga, thank you very much.
Very much.
I just enjoyed myself beyond my widest imagination on the show today, and I hope you felt the same way too. We'll take a short break. We've got a couple of interviews coming up. Don't go away.